Yo, what's good, everyone? Your boy Deke back again with another vid. Steelers got housed in their final preseason game 34-9 against the Carolina Panthers, leaving their final preseason record at 3-1. We did pretty much get housed. This was a bad game, got smacked. But the good news is this game's absolutely meaningless, has no bearing on what the Steelers are going to be doing in the regular season. A lot of starters did not play in this game, especially on defense. Offense, most of the line played, and then you had Claypool and James Washington out there. But we'll get to that later. Offense was lackluster in the first half, felt really conservative. Haskins didn't play too well, was a little inaccurate. And then defense actually showed some signs at points, but I think a lot of drops. Now, I think it was more in the second half, a couple of the drops, but there were some in the first half that definitely helped them. They were basically bend but don't break. It was 3-0 for the most part. It was our twos going up against their ones, so I was just happy that they were keeping pace for the most part, and then it completely flipped with the Matthew Sexton fumble. They scored right after that on a really short field and then gained some momentum. But I have things labeled here. I said it is completely meaningless, but there were some bright spots and actual things to take away for the regular season. And I have okay and then the bad. So the good, James Pierre looks like a stud. I think we could trust him week one and going forward as the starting cornerback on the outside. Went up against legitimate receivers in this game with DJ Moore and Anderson. I believe played the whole first half. You guys could correct me if I'm wrong, but they played their starters pretty much the whole first half of this game. So two legitimate receivers. Sam Darnold didn't even throw his way at all. And then when there were plays in his vicinity, whether it was a wide receiver screen, halfback dump off, Pierre was in the mix, trying to make the tackle, being physical. So big game from Pierre, in my opinion. I say we give him a chance on the outside, move Cam Sutton to the inside. And then number two, Isaiah Buggs had some really good plays, disrupting Carolina's rushing attack, whether it was in the backfield or as it looked like the running back was going to get a pretty good game, would trip him up. So Isaiah Buggs looked like he locked up a roster spot, probably as the fourth interior defensive lineman after Tuitt, Cam, and Alualu. In my opinion, he also had a pretty good preseason up to this point. Right there, Pierre and Buggs were two positive takeaways from a game that was otherwise pretty much meaningless. The okay, I'm going to say Benny Snell. That's the problem. I don't think you can be just okay at this point. He did break off a run or two, but other than that, looked pretty ordinary, especially when you're comparing him to what Kalen Ballage, McFarland, and Najee Harris have done this preseason. So his roster spot's going to be pretty dependent on whether or not the Steelers want to keep four running backs as opposed to, hey, he beat out McFarland or Ballage for that third spot. And then bad, I got to go with Dwayne Haskins. Finished with a 9 for 16, 108 yards, a touchdown and interception stat line, which is pretty nice, but he came in the fourth quarter after Dobbs got hurt, and I don't know. At least he scored. That's the one thing you can say. It's better to score than to just lead some stagnant drives, but they were pretty much garbage time. Ray McCloud made some nice plays, and that kind of helped his stats at the end of the day because in the first half, Haskins, he just looked off. He looked inaccurate. The offense looked pretty vanilla. I don't know how much of it was the play calling and us trying to be more and more conservative because that's really what was going on. His best pass was whenever he threw it down the sideline to Ray McCloud, and he just couldn't keep both feet down. He threw a dot. Yeah, Haskins kind of disappointed, especially with us having Claypool and Washington out there. He was going up against the Carolina ones, but you would have hoped to see a little bit more from Haskins tonight. I still think he's on the roster. I just think it means we're going to keep Mason. I think it's going to be Ben, Mason, Haskins. Probably keep Dobbs on practice squad because I would throw Dobbs into this category as well. He was disappointing too. It was pretty much the same thing as Haskins though. Seemed like the same type of offense. He did have a really nice run for a first down. I just don't think Josh Dobbs really did anything to make it feel like you need to keep a roster spot for him. Could still do practice squad though. Other bad, Matthew Sexton, the fumble on the punt return. That was going to be the thing from my standpoint that was maybe going to get him on the roster, at least on the practice squad. Still might make the practice squad just because there are 16 positions. And then as I'm talking about Matthew Sexton, I didn't even see Rico Bussey out there. I wonder where his standing is with the team right now. Of all those receivers, after Ray McCloud, I would guess Rico Bussey was the best one this whole preseason, but I didn't even get to see him tonight. I don't know what that means. Next in the bad, I would actually go back and forth between bad and okay. Offensive line, Haskins was under a lot of pressure when he was in at times, but there were other times where the offensive line did hold up. There were just moments where either Dan Moore would let a dude fly by, Chooks would let a dude fly by. For the offensive line, I would say between okay and bad. As a whole, okay. Some of the individual performances, I'm going to lean bad. Dotson looks like a stud, though. And last, actually, I got two more for the bad section. I'm going to say Spillane, again, just getting beaten coverage. He did make some nice plays getting in the backfield. And then the last thing for the bad, I'm going to go with Chase Claypool, and that's just him playing, period. I didn't like him playing. I would have rather him just sat out. I guess it had to do with Deontay Juju got time last week. Like, all of our ones got time. So with Claypool missing last week, maybe they're just trying to get him a little bit more up to speed playing in this game. I could have done without it, but it looked like he was good enough to go, and they had him out there. I just wasn't a fan of it. So with this game, at the end of the day, I'm looking at the positives. I'm looking at James Pierre and Isaiah Buggs. All the negatives for this season, it's not really going to matter. It really isn't. Think of the players that I brought up. Snell, he's going to be the third or fourth running back. It's going to be between Harris, Ballage, McFarland, mainly Harris getting all the carries. Haskins, he was either going to be QB2, QB3. Josh Dobbs, same thing. QB3, QB4, practice squad. Matthew Sexton, what playing time was he going to get? Offensive line, actually, maybe that's the one thing. Chooks is going to be playing a big role, and I didn't really like what I saw tonight. Spillane, he's going to be a depth linebacker, if not off the team. And then Claypool playing, that's not really that bad. So the two main positives, Isaiah Buggs, Pierre. We've been talking about Pierre in the cornerback group throughout this preseason. Each game was going to be somewhat meaningful to them just based off our need at the position. And then the other thing is offensive line. That was probably the other thing that was always going to be prevalent throughout the preseason. And I thought they did okay tonight. Some individual performances were not so good. But that is that. I hope you guys enjoyed the vid. Let me know what you guys think of the preseason game. I'm just ready for the regular season to start in 2 weeks. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay chilling. Let me know what you guys think. Peace.